Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our one of the last seminars under this project. Our webinar is called How to Prepare a Winning Full Proposal for the EIC Accelerator. This event is organized by TÜBİTAK National Coordination Office under the Turkey in Horizon 2020 Phase 2 Technical Assistance Project. The primary objective of this webinar is to provide valuable guidance to participants, SME startups, on their way to preparing full proposals for the EIC Accelerator. As you can already know, the cutoff for the EIC Accelerator is very soon, 2 weeks later from now on. Our experts will share their insights, their experience and expertise on the aspects of the EIC Accelerator application process. I hope you will have fruitful and effective training. Please ask any question in your full proposal application process. We will always be here for you, for your questions, either in English or Turkish. So I yield floor for Serkan Bey to begin with the webinar.
Thank you very much, Merve Hanım. Let me share my screen for my first presentation today. Here is, if you can see the presentation, cover slide. Today, we're going to focus on full proposal and its attachments, and we will answer your questions. Previous Monday, we worked on short proposal applications, and so there are some commonalities between today's content, but we will go further and go into more details. And if you have any questions, please use the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen so that we can keep you satisfied at the end of the seminar today. So, I am Serkan Bolat. I work as an EIC and SME expert for Türkiye in Horizon 2020 Horizon Europe project. I also work as an EIC expert evaluator for more than 10 years for the EIC and European Innovation Council and SME Agency, and for several other EU funding programs. And I have engineering and business background. And before starting to work as a mentor, evaluator, and reviewer for grant and investment programs, I worked in private industry and academia. So I saw the both sides and studied several successful unicorn cases, supported SMEs getting funding from EU and private investors, and business model and business planning. So I will reflect on my personal experience, business experience, and evaluation experience with the European Commission today. So I'll start with a brief explanation of the EIC Accelerator program. Most of you are familiar with it already, but there may be some applicants or potential applicants who is still questioning whether their project and innovation is suitable for the project. I will give you some details and give also examples from the winning projects. Then for the full application and its attachments, our training coordinator, Nicolas, will be with you for a long presentation. Then we will have your questions and take a 10-minute break in the middle. This event will end around 5 p.m. So in the second part of the seminar, I will come back to the Zoom screen and I will give some advice, and I will talk about what differentiates winners from losers and how to stand out among intense competition in this program. And then Odysseus, our team leader, will give his recommendations and how to convince evaluators and jury members to become successful applicants. We will again answer your questions in the meantime and at the end of both parts. And our TÜBİTAK NCPs will be with us throughout the day. They will also answer your questions and give the closing speech. So as always, we try to do our best to get you the most important information, up-to-date information, relevant, accurate data and comments. But still, European Innovation Council and European Commission may change some of the procedures or IT process. So it is always important to check with the EIC webpage and EIC calls official documents and regulations before submitting your application to the European Innovation Council. So as always, I want to start with why we innovate. Why do we have European Commission, EU funding programs, framework programs, and why do we have venture capital industry? To me, and my understanding from the EIC executives, including the president of the board of the EIC, we innovate to increase love, peace, happiness, and freedom in our world. Having shared values and putting our technologies into good use for the better world and the goodness of the humanity is very important. It is not just a matter of technology development or increasing key performance indicators from the technologist or researchers or scientist perspective, but it is also important from a politics perspective, from the entrepreneur and innovators perspective, to help people, consumers, and businesses to use our technologies to serve our communities, our society, to improve our quality of life. So we want to enjoy our lives first, and then we decide our share values, our future vision for our world, and how our technologies can help us achieve and contribute to these goals. So this is more important than focusing on the technology side. So how European Innovation Council contributes to this vision and our shared values as the world, not just Europe, Turkey, but the global world. EIC assumes itself as a largest deep tech investor in Europe. More than 20 companies it supported so far turned into unicorns. Around 120 companies have valuations above 100 million euros. And each company supported by the EIC received 3 times more investment from the private investors. EIC also always highlights importance of women entrepreneurship and female founders. And deep tech is also one of the key components of the EIC. As you know, we have Pathfinder Transition Accelerator Support Program. Today, we will be dealing with Accelerator full applications. So technology readiness level 5 to 8 and 9 for grant and investment support. You will be targeting Accelerator program. If you have a research idea with a vision for a great technology or product or service in the future, then you may target Pathfinder. If your research or innovation project is based on results achieved from selected EU-funded projects, then you may be eligible to submit your project to transition program. And all the details and program rules are set out in the EIC work program, which is published annually. EIC doesn't just give money to entrepreneurs, it also gives business acceleration services, which I will give some more detail. EIC also has prizes in 4 categories for innovative capital cities, innovative female founders, and social innovations, and so on. So these are the details of the programs, and as you see, you can check the call deadlines here in different times of the year. We have only 2 cutoffs to catch this year for Accelerator, and probably this is my calculation. Under open call, EIC can support 70 projects, and under challenge calls, it can support 55 projects. So there is allocated budget for each challenge call. And what's the difference? Open call is a bottom to top call. It is open to all industries, all types of innovations, as long as they meet the evaluation criteria. For challenge calls, we have 6 specific topics that we will discuss. So who is eligible? SMEs are eligible. As you know, some of you may have already passed the short proposal stage, so you know these rules. So basically, for the full application stage, you have to make a few decisions. One of them is to pick the type of funding support. Are you going to apply for grant only or blended finance? Equity only is restricted to certain projects. So there isn't, as far as I know, any eligible project for the equity only in Turkey. So for grant only and blended finance, what's the difference? Grant supports technology readiness level 5 to 8 activities, which are innovation activities. Blended finance includes both grant and equity support. As always, grant supports to TRL 5 to 8 activities, and equity support can only be or also for innovation activities. It is usually dedicated to commercialization, market deployment, and scale-up activities. So you need to decide, do you have enough venture capital or revenue or own capital to deploy your product in the market and grow at a global scale? If that's the case, you can apply for grant-only support. In that case, in your application form, you need to explain how you will secure this funding. It shouldn't be just your idea or wishful thinking. It is better to provide some letters of support from the VC firms, which can say, if the EIC supports your project, gives the grant, after you reach TRL 8, they will also give you the sufficient amount of investment, venture capital money, so that you can commercialize your product in Europe and beyond. In blended finance, this means you don't have VC firms ready to invest in your company when you need the investment part. So you apply for both grant and equity support, but you still need to provide some letters of support, or you need to explain your fundraising effort from the VC community in your application form, so that your commercialization stage, TRL 9 activities, may be completed without a problem. So you will not be killing your project in the valley of death in a traditional way. So if you apply for blended finance, you will start your project with your grant, and you will sign a grant agreement with the ASMEA. And for the blended finance, you will be subject to due diligence, and you will sign a separate investment agreement with the EIC fund. So company valuations, term sheets may change. You may have co-investors along the way. It's up to you. But just because you received or your application to receive blended finance is approved doesn't necessarily mean you have to sign investment agreement. And during the grant supported project, you may communicate with VCs, with the EIC on the term sheets, company valuation, and you can look at your feasibility and market deployment variables and assumptions, so you can make some changes for the future of your company. So these are the key decisions at the full application stage. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A box. This is the process I'm sure all of us are familiar with anymore, but I still see some companies who doesn't have any idea about how to benefit from business coaching, for instance. If you pass the short proposal stage, you have 3-day optional free business coaching available to you, provided by the EIC. EIC gives you a group of business coaches as an option, so you can communicate with them, contact them, and have a conversation, and pick one of them for 3-day optional free business coaching to prepare your full proposal. And your full proposal will be evaluated by 3 experts, and you need to convince all of them under all 3 criteria. Inside the remote evaluation process, there is a consensus meeting if needed. If only one of the evaluators give you a no-go, then there will be a consensus meeting to provide standards and high quality and a good evaluation result, so that just one no-go doesn't get you out of the jury interview process. And then if you receive 3 go, you will be invited to jury interview in Brussels. This is the plan for 2024, if it doesn't change. And you will pitch your innovation in 10 minutes, and you will answer questions for up to 35 minutes. And the jury will decide to give you grant or investment in 2 weeks. And then you will sign your grant agreement, and the process will keep going. So each evaluation stage are different. They have different evaluation criteria. Jury interview stage doesn't have a specific evaluation criteria because you already passed the remote evaluations and you were subject to more than 10 evaluation criteria. They don't have specific evaluation criteria or scoring table. They can ask you many questions on anything they wish. So you need to be prepared to explain and justify all aspects of your project. So For full proposal evaluators, they will not have access to short proposal content and evaluation report, just to keep this in mind, so that they will not review the details of your short proposal, what you wrote and what you changed. It is up to you to share that information. There is no rebuttal or right to react, a kind of communication with the evaluators on paper. You will just need to submit your proposal. So there is a resubmission limit, 3 resubmission limits in total at any stage of the proposal submission and evaluation. If your project is rejected at full proposal stage, you can resubmit it again twice. If you pass the short proposal stage at your first attempt, for instance, you may not concurrently submit any project or implement any project during the accelerator. But let's say your accelerator project is accepted and your project is on progress. As a company or as part of a consortium, you can still apply for Pathfinder or transition support. And this is also an important flexibility. So this is the full application and its attachments. There's a full proposal form with 50 pages and many mandatory and 1 optional document to upload in the funding and tender portal. You need to submit different pitch deck and pitch video, or at least you need to submit the same pitch deck and pitch video again at full application stage, because evaluators don't have access to previous application files. You may probably use the same pitch video because pitch video content isn't in detail. It just reflects the motivation of the company and introduce high-level executives. And you also will probably show your product demo. So it may not change in 2-3 months, but pitch deck provides some details about your project. So it is better to create a new pitch deck for full application. There is also a difference between short and full application, as you know. Short application is evaluated remotely. Full application is also remotely evaluated, but you have to use your pitch deck you submitted at your full application also in the jury interview. So you will not be able to change the pitch deck. So you need to develop a pitch deck for a 10-minute presentation. If it is too long, it's not a good idea. For the short application, there is a maximum number of slides, but for the full application, there isn't such a rule. For data management plan, you may be more flexible, and there are templates for all these attachments and forms in funding and tender portal. You may check them even during the short application preparation stage. So there are 2 options to skip short proposal and to submit your full proposal directly: fast track and plugin. They look very similar. There is only one major difference. There are different eligible selected EU programs. If your project is supported by those programs, executives of those units may review your project, and they can decide whether your project is suitable to pass short proposal stage without the official submission to EIC Accelerator program. They will use similar criteria and they will ask for similar content. It may also take more time than EIC to review your project. So I'm not sure if this is a good idea, but you have the same rights for all short applicants. So fast track for eligible EU programs, plugin with similar rules, but it is for national eligible certified programs, which are supported by TÜBİTAK in Turkey. So it's a very competitive program, as you know, Accelerator. In 2023, we had around 174 winners. And in the last cutoff, we had more than 1,000 full applications. 242 of them were invited for jury invitations, jury interviews, and only 42 of them, around 4%, maybe less than 4%, won the grant. So in 2024, as I mentioned, we will have just 2 cutoff and probably 160 or a little bit less winners. So we may see more than 1,000 applications at each cutoff. So it will be around jury invitation, if we consider full application numbers, more than 20% of them will be invited for jury. and overall, around 7 or 8% of full applications will be awarded grant or blended finance support. Technology readiness levels are important to categorize grant-supported and equity-supported activities. If you make a mistake, then the jury will cancel the budget items you put under the grant support. And you may be eligible to use equity because it's your money. You will give equity for that part of the support. So you can use equity part for the grant, but you will receive less free money. So lump sums, I believe Nicholas will give more detail about this. This year, EIC changed its grant reimbursement type to lump sum. So you will give detailed lump sum budget tables attached to your application. If it is approved, you will not be required to submit any invoice, timesheet, or any explanation justification for your budget, and you will receive the exact amount approved in your grant agreement. And this is flexible and more effective for accelerator projects. So there are many types of business acceleration services. Actually, this is at least as important as the money support because most of the beneficiaries, when they receive 1 million euros from the EIC, they are able to raise at least 3 million euros from the venture capital firms that they met through these business acceleration services. So EIC can give you seal of excellence if your project passed jury interview stage, but because of the EIC total budget limit, you may not receive equity support or grant support, then that seal of excellence will make you eligible to benefit from business acceleration services and to participate all these activities. And you can check out these links, and some of them are available to short applicant winners before full application preparation. Some of them are available to seal of excellence holders, and all are available to EIC beneficiaries if you win grant or equity support. Now we have 6 different challenge goals that you can pick from. If your project idea is perfectly applicable and relevant to these challenge goals, it is better to submit your project to one of these challenge goals rather than open call, even if you have the flexibility to pick, to make your own choice. So there is a specific allocated budget for each of these challenge goals, 50 million euros, and you need to make your choice in full application. And you cannot submit the same application to multiple calls. And if your project is rejected at one cutoff, at the next cutoff, you can pick a different challenge call or open call if you'd like. And all these challenge calls change annually. So next year, we will not have these challenge calls. And you can click these titles and look at the EIC Accelerator Work Program 2024 in the relevant page. There are expected outcomes, impact for challenge call applicants. And please be careful if it says, let's say, generative AI made in Europe, it usually expects exact outcomes listed here in bullet points. For example, if you are working on AR, VR solutions or wearable smart stack size or smart objects, they need to support Industry 5.0. If your AR, VR solution will be used for a game, for instance, a mobile or digital game, whatever it is, you are not eligible for this challenge call. So for some of those challenge calls, and even if you submit to open call for some of topics, project topics, like artificial intelligence and quantum, EIC is concerned about your ownership and control by non-associated third countries like Russia or China or US maybe. So if you have investors or owners from those countries, or if you are looking investors in those countries, then please be careful. You may not be eligible for support, or you may need to include some security clauses in your term sheet, in your investment agreement with the EIC fund. So what is a deep tech technology project? How deep is enough? And just look at the accelerated funded project topics in 2023. There are many different types of innovations, actually. So deep tech isn't related to one single industry or one single research and innovation area like artificial intelligence, quantum, or digital health, or vaccines, or whatever. It is more about whether your project is based on scientific discoveries, either made by you, either discovered by you, or IP developed by others, which you have the right to use in your project. And most deep tech projects also are targeted to solve social problems like climate change or health, problems that are relevant for all humanity, not just local problems. We have water, energy, or inequality, or climate change, or clean energy problems in all over the world. So we have big markets, big social, economic problems. Most deep tech innovation are expected to target those social challenges. And one of the other key qualities of deep tech projects also, they have a hard time to find enough venture capital from private industry. This is why EIC wants to support these companies so that other investors can co-invest along with the EIC in the project. So EIC will give you credibility and structured monitoring process, maybe, which gives other VCs a better impression of you. So we usually have a lot of questions. What kind of projects win? What kind of topics are supported? What's the difference between winning and losing projects? How to express your project potential, whether you have big market in your project, in your proposal form. You may find inspiration and you can compare your ideas and your proposal with the winning proposals. Actually, there is a data hub, EIC data hub. By the time these winners are announced, their basic project information are listed in this data hub. There is also another database which is called Cordis, but all these projects are input into the Cordis database when they signed grant agreement. So it takes 2-3 more months to get to the Cordis. So this one is faster. But if you want to reach results, midterm projects of these projects, they are also available on Cordis database. So for example, we see here Atlas 2 project, space safety project, and they express the deep tech and market creating breakthrough potential of their project by using certain terms here. The first, the new design, and they have two different customer segments, small satellite fleets and whole satellite constellations. And they also mention technological sovereignty and space safety, which the EIC is very sensitive, technological sovereignty and strategic autonomy. So these are the good points to put your proposal. So let's look at the artificial intelligence projects that won EIC support in 2023. So about 10% of the companies were working on AI technologies. If you ask this question, did the EIC support sufficient number of artificial intelligence projects? I still have an AI or AI-based application project. Can they still fund me? You know, after these 17 projects, EIC still created a challenge call for generative AI topic. So there is no end to AI. I guess artificial intelligence will be like having a website or kind of a digitalization, what we understood it from 20 years ago. 20 years ago, everybody used to buy products and services from retail stores. Then some companies started to differentiate themselves by opening online stores, by dealing with e-commerce. And digitalization was a differentiator. Now AI started to make its hype, and I believe AI will be a daily, ordinary use in the next couple of years. So there are many types of artificial intelligence. You can use AI to develop health technologies for different use cases, or you can develop AI for the sake of AI, for example, for different modeling learning tools, or AI safety, to ensure AI safety, robustness, particularly in Europe, because it is very sensitive for risks and safety of AI. So there is a pitch video here. If you want to look at what kind of project is supported by the EIC or how they express themselves in an actual pitch video. This is an actual EIC Accelerator pitch video submitted by Crypto Quantic Limited, and their project was Krypton, and it won grant-only support in March 2023 cutoff. As you see, it's a 3-minute video with 3 high-level executives speaking in this video. Let me share my screen and we watch. This is the company, Crypto Quantic, IoT platform for scalable zero trust provisioning, zero touch device management, and OTA updates. This is one of the topics EIC is very concerned about. And there are partners, there are awards, there are multiple products for multiple use cases and industries. There is also a big team behind this project. Let's watch the video.
The Internet of Things, or IoT for short, is now a major sector of the tech industry.
We don't see the video, Chakan.
Can you see?
No, I don't think we can.
Oh.
Maybe you need to share, to make a new share of just the video. You know, I had the same issue on Monday.
How about now?
Yes, now yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
The Internet of Things, or IoT for short, is now a major sector of the tech industry. However, IoT devices are rarely secure and are constantly targeted by hackers. Globally, there are over 1.5 billion IoT attacks in 2021, over double the attacks from the previous year. With many companies and entities involved in the IoT supply chain, it's critical to ensure security from the design phase all the way to when those devices connect to the cloud. To achieve this, IoT devices must have unique identities and cryptographic keys that cannot be copied or stolen. Today, IoT devices are manually or remotely injected with secret keys. This is a complex, expensive, time-consuming, and risky process, which requires trusting a third party and specialist knowledge. Other software or hardware-based solutions are either expensive, incompatible with standard chip manufacturing, require complex error correction, or store keys in vulnerable places, such as memories.
Crypto Quantic has overcome these limitations to deliver the most secure, cost-effective, scalable IoT solution spanning both hardware and software. Our patented silicon IP, which we call QT, measures tiny current pulls by quantum tunneling, a completely random process occurring at the oxide layer of chips, to generate truly random and unforgeable keys on demand. Our software, which we call QuarkLink, provides supply chain assurance, secure provisioning and onboarding to cloud services, device management during their life cycle, without the user requiring any cybersecurity expertise. Our products eliminates the complexity and reduce risk to the supply chain and connecting to the cloud, lowering the overall cost burden to these companies. Crypto Quantic was founded in 2016, and with the support from the European Commission, we demonstrated our first prototype of QT on QuarkLink. We now need to move into the next phase of our company growth, building and testing our technology on lower process nodes, along with accelerating the time it takes to integrate our technology into customers' products. This will enable us to rapidly scale up, help us meet the requirement of major clients, and meet the objectives of the EIC Accelerator Challenge to promote semiconductor chip design at lower sizes.
We have assembled a world-class team of semiconductor professionals, quantum physicists, cryptographers, and cloud specialists. This team has won multiple industry awards for our technology. We've also developed strategic partnerships with a range of technology and commercial partners, placing Crypto Quantic in an ideal market position. We now have the team, the facilities, and the market force to succeed, with strong interest from companies across the globe.
With your support, we can ensure the highest possible IoT security and safeguard the ecosystem that supports the European economy.
Okay. Congratulations to the team. I hope they become successful and we share more stories about them. Now, can you see my presentation again?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can see.
So it was a great video. It was a great company and they won grant only support. Apparently, they have the investment already secured. They have a history of success, lots of milestones, good progress, achievements, awards, previous investments, a big team and co-founders. And what I noticed is, as mentioned and required, and then there were three executives speaking in this video. And the video started with Chief Commercial Officer, not by the co-founder or CEO. It was interesting. And the video content was kind of a combination of pitch deck, full proposal, and other visual content. And they showed the demo, prototype, how they develop, and they explained the problem, and they visualize all information. So it didn't repeat the same information in the pitch deck, but I believe they used one or two visuals in their pitch deck as well. So I have two more examples, but I will not show them you right now. If we have any time left by the end of the webinar today around 5 p.m., maybe we can look at them together and we can make some comments on them. But otherwise, here are the links. They are also EIC pitch videos, actual videos submitted to the EIC support. One of them is from Quandela. They won blended finance support at June 2022 cutoff. And the company was also an SME instrument phase 1 grantee 5 years ago. And the next one come from a female founder who supported by Women Tech EU program in 2023. The company submitted its project to the EIC Accelerator program. Hopefully in the next cutoff or sometime they will be supported or receive venture capital. So what are the lessons, both from the video and from the companies at first impression? They pick a big market and a global problem. They sell the problem before the solution. They don't just try to introduce their solution, but first they want you to understand the problem, its negative effects, how important it is for the next 20 years, and so on. And they always show the product, evidence, demo, or pilot studies so that they can convince you, so that they can build credibility in their team. And they always introduce their team members. They show some parts of their office or research lab people on the job. And there is no single recipe to win. All pitch deck videos are different. All proposals are different because they come from different teams, different countries, industries, different stages of technological maturity. And finally, I want to mention three major evaluation criteria: excellence, impact, and the need for EIC support and implementation. You need to receive Go for each of these criteria, not sub-criteria, but for each criteria. So each evaluator will give 3 Go or no Go for excellence, impact, and other criteria. In previous years, we didn't have excellence of the company. We only had the team as the sub-criteria, but this year they separated these in 2 dimensions. Team used to mean the company because most of the applicants were already startups with limited resources. But now they want to see how company is structured with partnerships, how dedicated the company, what kind of networks, resources the company is able to create or access other than team capabilities. Novelty and breakthrough character of the innovation. And if you submit your application to a challenge call, you need to specify how you will contribute to specific objectives listed under that challenge in the EIC work program. And novelty and breakthrough can be explained in many dimensions. Usually, companies have multiple novelties, not just a novel new product, but also a manufacturing production process to create that novelty. So if you keep limiting yourself in the traditional manufacturing or research process, you may not be able to develop a new product. So there is always a novel process, a new approach, a radical thinking behind every new product. As far as I see from the winner projects and success stories. And timing and trends and developments. Is your product urgent, needed now? What would you lose if the project waits for 5 years Or why didn't you develop and launch it 5 years before today? For example, if there is a coronavirus, all the VC money is poured into vaccine developers and other pandemic solutions. So what's your favorable trends and developments around you, consumer trends, economic trends, or new problems, emerging problems, or new discoveries that enables you to develop this technology? And technological feasibility, particularly if you develop an AI technology, your project will be subject to an additional consideration under technological feasibility sub-criteria. You need to ensure your AI is developed in safe, secure, and reliable manner, and you need to explain how that AI creates certain solutions. For example, if you use artificial intelligence-based disease diagnostic tool for health industry, at each query, if AI tool gives a different result or different suggestion, then you need to explain how that solution resulted in, based on which models, which learning tools, and so on. And IP strategy. And how do you plan to protect your IP? Is it going to be copyright, non-disclosure agreements, trade secrets, patents? Sometimes companies apply with a patent awarded 10 years ago, and it's not related to the current project, or it's not enough to defend the project, but it is still owned by the company. So they list that patent in their proposal, but it doesn't give you the sufficient credibility or competitive power to defend your project against competition. So be careful about your IP strategy. And there are 5 sub-criteria under impact. I think one of the most important part of this is to scale up of the company. Do you have a technology to trigger new markets, new demand? How are you going to acquire new customers rather than traditional ones? Are you going to just replace a current product, or are you going to create a new market, new consumption? These are the important things which we can discuss if you'd like later. But I don't want to keep you long with the details, because how we look at these criteria change depending on the industry and proposal and the applicant, because you cannot evaluate and compare 2 different projects at different stages of their technology development. For example, one company may submit a TRL5 product, the other one may submit TRL7 product. One can come from health industry, which is subject to different regulations and compliance rules. The other may be an AI technology with its own AI Act and so on. So it's not so easy to compare all those proposals under the same criteria with the same logic. And this criteria is important to prove a risk level of the investment. Particularly if you ask for investment from the EIC, it is better to have at least 1 or 2 investors who can invest in your company along with the EIC. So if you are looking for 3 million euros of funding in your investment round, consider EIC as just one of the investors in that round. Don't try to keep EIC as the only investor. You may find your investors during the project. You don't have to have commitment letters, but letters of support would be great. So this is my presentation, and our presentations will be available on help desk, and we will also be available here to answer your questions. Now I'd like to stop my share and invite Nicolas for his presentation about winning full application creation. Thank you very much for your patience.
Okay, there are some very just clarifications that yes, you will receive the videos and presentations from the support office of the program. So yes, you don't have to worry on that. Everything that you see on the slides along the links, you will receive them. There seems to be an echo I don't know, is this an echo problem from everyone, even from my microphone, or it was an echo problem from Serkan?
I
Please.
just unmuted.
Okay, so maybe that will help. I don't know. We will see. Well, for the time being, there is nothing more that we can do on that one. So there are no other questions as far as I can see. So I will proceed. Thank you, Serkan, for this really eye-opening presentation. I really liked up to the point, with a lot of different information to get a good grasp of what is EIC Accelerator. Also, the examples that you've given were very useful for understanding where you position, what you can do and how you can do it. And of course, the outlook, the quick look on the evaluation criteria was very useful also for giving me the floor of presenting my own session, which actually focuses on specific things that you need to be aware in order to build your full application, these 50 pages that Serkan mentioned. Very briefly, to introduce myself, I'm the training coordinator of the program that is reaching almost its end. I happen to be also an evaluator on behalf of the European Commission for the EIC Accelerator. So whatever you have the privilege here to have experts, all the experts that are speakers, they have that kind of expertise to give you insights, not only on how you should be thinking as implementers, but also how you should be thinking from the perspective of the jury, as well as how you should be thinking on the perspective of the funding agency. So these are quite useful for everyone. Let me share the PowerPoint. So I will start. I hope should be able to see it. So this is the second more or less session that we're going to discuss step-by-step guidance on how to build the different sections in the grant application, the full stage. Now we assume that you have submitted your short proposal. It received positive feedback. So we are you're now invited to submit the full proposal application. And actually, for your information, there is, if you are already on that stage, the deadline for the full proposal submission is next week, next Wednesday. So depending on what position you are, if you are submitting a proposal next week, that can be work as a checklist. So that can be extremely useful. If you're not submitting something next week, but you're planning to do so until next October, where we have the next deadline, still this training here will allow you to prepare the background and the foundations for a successful proposal. Now, what I would like to say here, this is what you see on this slide, the content of the full proposal, and this is the part B. Part A is an online form with administrative data. Then we have part B plus some annexes, as you will see later. And what you can see here is that there is every part of the proposal is linked with one of the three evaluation criteria that Serkan addressed in the previous session. However, there is something that can be quite misleading from this slide, because this is the first slide that you see in your grant application. This is the first table that you see in your grant application in the template when you're writing the proposal. And what that is, you will realize that yes, every section in the proposal in part B is linked with a specific criterion, except one, which to my view is very critical. And that is the executive summary. Because if you notice here, there is executive summary is not linked with any with any evaluation criteria. And some people say, okay, since it is not linked, then I have to do it at the very last moment, just some copy and paste from the previous sections, and I will spend something like 2 pages. This is the amount that you have for summarizing what my project is. And if you do it that way, you are underestimating the value that executive summary has. Because executive summary is the first thing that the evaluators will have access to. Speaking from personal experience, the majority of the evaluators, including me at least, what we do before evaluating the full proposal, so that means before reading the full 50 pages, we check 3 pieces of information. And from those 3 pieces of information, we have already an idea whether this proposal should get funded or it should not get funded. So based on those first impressions, we try to find, by reading the rest of the document, ways and reasons either to fund the idea or to kill the idea, yes, that we have and that impression. So the 3 elements that we check is the executive summary, the one that we have, plus the pitch deck. So we have the pitch deck now that is the one that you probably revised it during the second stage of submission, or you have the same one, but we check that. So make sure that it is something that really reflects the high added value of your proposal, plus the video, the pitch video, the 3 minutes video that Sir can also show you the one of them, how they did it. They didn't only present it themselves, they gave an idea of what the added value of the solution is. They gave also an idea of what are the challenges, the benefits from that solution. So these are important elements that an evaluator will get a first impression before reading the full text. So by reading the executive summary, watching the video, and taking also the pitch deck PowerPoint, we have already an idea whether, okay, this is an interesting proposal, and probably we will read it with some more attention than normally, or this is not something interesting, probably is not worth funding, so let's find ways to kill it. Sorry to be that blunt, but the human brain works in a way that we want to make humans, our job, as much effective as possible. So we are trying to find we're improvising different ways to do that. One of the ways to do the full proposal evaluation as smooth as possible is by having a first impression. So that's why the pitch deck, the video, and the executive summary, as we will see, is extremely important. So we have 2 pages, and in these 2 pages, we're going to consider them as an elevator pitch. So suppose that you have to talk to someone and you have a data sheet of just 2 pages. What you're going to include there? What kind of things you're going to have in order to impress your potential collaborators, your potential investors? So you need to see that as an elevator pitch, in addition to the video, in addition to the PowerPoints. The best way, to my view, to address the executive summary is to address those famous 4 whys. So those 4 whys have to be addressed and answered in those 2 pages. So the first thing that we need to answer is, why this project? Yes, is there an European or global problem that has to be addressed? And why now? You've seen that this is already part of the criteria. But first of all, we need to address why it is urgent to do it now, which means that if we don't do now, probably we will miss some opportunities. We will lose a leadership that we might have in comparison to other countries like US or outside Europe, China, South Korea, Russia. So we need to address why it is urgent, but this is not enough. we need also to say why it is possible to do it now, why it is possible to deal with that now and not before. Most likely because we made some breakthrough developments up to that point, because we had to reach TRL5, technology readiness level, we had to get some feedback from actual end users on the high value of our project to develop, to mature and advance a little bit our the technological level, the technological readiness. And now it is possible. Now it is possible to say that based on the first feedback that we have received from a limited number of partners, we know that that can work. It's possible to do it now. Another thing is that we need to explain and justify what are the unique points of our solution to this global challenge, that they are innovative and, if possible, that they are not easy to replicate. Because we need to understand that, okay, whatever solution you are giving, even if you have an advantage now, even if they are quite unique, how easy is for another company, a big one, to do the same thing? Or maybe they have the resources, maybe they have the expertise, and if they decide to go and try to give a similar solution, how easy is for them to develop that solution in comparison to what you have achieved so far? So these are reasons that you need to include also in your executive summary. The other thing is, of course, because it is linked with the first thing, is, okay, what you have developed so far, what is your current TRL, technological readiness level, and how that was developed. We need to provide some convincing steps on how you developed that, how challenging was it. So that also answers that, okay, it's not that easy for someone else to replicate. We spend a lot of person hours, 10,000 person hours or more than that for reaching that current technological level. It's extremely difficult for someone else to start investing that now. So this is important and you need to highlight it. Also, apart from the novelty of your breakthrough solution, you need to explain what is the expected, how attractive as a solution in relation to your projects, to your problems, this is going to be. And the more attractive that is, the higher will be the growth that we expect to have out of that solution. And last but not least, on why, please highlight here, if there is already an external interest from some potential or current investors, back it up, support it with some letters of support. A nice number could be 10, 15, also conditionally, because this is important. Because a question that someone might think, even as an evaluator, is, okay, since you have such a big interest from current or potential investors, why you ask funding from the European Commission, or why you ask equity or blended support? Well, that's why you need to make sure that the external interest of potential or even from your current investors is on the condition that you will have a successful, I'm saying now, a successful pilot demonstration, because it's quite risky. So that's why the investors are reluctant to invest unless there is support from the EIC in order to allow you to de-risk that phase. These are things that you might want to think about it, but you mentioned them in the first 2 pages. So this is what we have. Then you need to explain, okay, it is an excellent solution, but why you are the most important entity, why you are the most suitable company or entity for that solution, for developing further that solution. Probably because you have already worked, as we said, 10,000 hours or more, 10,000 days or more. Or because you are the owner of that breakthrough solution. Because you are, instead of only the owner, maybe because you have already some existing clients and you have unique access to them, or you have very well collaborations with them, in addition to to the advancements that you have in the technology of that solution. The next why, remember we have 4 whys. Okay, why in this methodology? Why you are on current TRL, whatever that TRL is, maybe it's TRL 5, 6, or 7. What will be your methodology in order to reach TRL 8? What's TRL 8, as we've seen, that you have a complete solution? And then what will be your strategy for penetrating global or European markets, whom you're going to partner with, which should be your first markets that you're going to target. So these are things that you definitely need to highlight in why in this way, in this approach. Also, the last one is why you need EIC funding. And this is very well linked with this external interest here. Why? Because we said that those external investors, either current or potential ones, are willing to invest. You back it up with rate of support on the condition that there is EIC funding in order to de-risk some of the elements of the current phase. So this is something that is more than welcome. So we have here as an example, because we give you real examples, filling the gap of uncertainty, yes, that might exist from external investors and encouraging them to invest for global penetration. This is always a nice reasoning behind that. So the majority, as you can understand, of those 2 pages should be on number 1, should be on number 3, and the rest will not take you more than half a page, more or less. That's the why you and the why EIC fund. So remember, this is what you need to have in those 2 pages, and by doing it that way, you have a lot of chances of increasing the, of impressing with those 2 pages plus your video pitch and your PowerPoint pitch that is in PDF. Okay, so you have that, and it's very important. And now you want the first impressions, and then you need to describe, if you can recall, because we go through each one of the different sections in your application. Yeah, so we'll go each one of them here. So the first one is the company description. So it's around 3 pages, more or less. So tell us how ambitious your company is, how ambitious it is from your future purpose, and how ambitious is your proposal from its current purpose. Why you're doing what you're doing now, and what you are doing now in order to reach something in the future as a future purpose. And make sure that these ambitions of your current and future purpose are aligned with the EIC purpose. What is the EIC purpose? They want to see companies that are developing radically new products to penetrate global markets. They want to increase the competitiveness of Europe with respect to other countries. So you need to support that vision of the EIC with your own mission and vision. So this is important. Try to explain that. And okay, apart from, as Serkan said, apart from your team members, have you engaged some very fruitful win-win collaborations with whom? For the successful deployment is for the further advancement of your solution, and as well as probably, as you will see, for penetrating your other markets. So do you have those, but even if you don't have already engaged those partners, have you already identified them, whom those should be? Have you received some feedback out of them? So have you received already some feedback? What was the interest that they had? And even if you don't have the full chain of partners that you need, do you have a clear strategy how you're going to engage them, communication strategy, engagement strategy for collaborating with those? So these are important elements that you need to have. And the last one is, okay, can you provide us any current client portfolio? Is there already a market traction? Not necessarily from your own solution, but maybe from other solutions that you have, because this is always something that we welcome. We would like to see a company that has already a market portfolio, not necessarily in the innovation that you are suggesting to receive EIC funding and support, but in some other solutions that probably the company has developed that it can use to overcome some reluctance from the future clients to use your proposed innovation. So we have that, and that is more than enough for the 3 pages that the proposal more or less suggests you to use. Okay, so we describe the proposal, then we go to the next section. And the next section in the proposal is the problem, the opportunity. So we have 3 more pages here to describe what is the big challenge or what is the big opportunity that your company wants to exploit with the proposed innovation. So you need to define the problem you're trying to solve very well, and you can start with the problem statement. It's very important, and as I can say, you need to sell the problem first and then the solution. So this is extremely important section. Albert Einstein, when he was asked how important is the solution with respect to the problem, he said, if they were giving me 1 hour to find a solution to a problem, and the solution of that problem was a matter of life or death, which means if I don't find a solution, I will have to die, and they were giving me 60 minutes for that, I will spend 50 minutes, 50, for understanding the problem and just 10 minutes for giving the solution. So I'm taking that, that for some of you might be exaggeration, but I think it's a very good example for understanding the problem and selling the problem to your evaluators as well as to the jury after that. So then you can, in addition, when you're elaborating the problem, you need to quantify how big that problem is, how many people suffer on that, or how many end users, what are the consequences of having that problem, and either economical one or societal ones, or even in some cases technological ones. So try to identify, quantify those problems as much as possible by giving the cost of not addressing that problem, how that much costs in the EU, in Europe. Try to back that up, yes, with some reliable third-party resources. So some statistics from well-validated sources, some reports from those are more than welcome in order to reference them and make sure that they are quite striking. Also, an advice is to try to, when you're quantifying problems, why not use some illustrations, some visual information on those problems. These are more than welcome. So what you have here as an example, a table. So there was a solution that deals with finding Alzheimer treatments for Alzheimer disease, and not for the symptoms of Alzheimer disease, but for the cause of Alzheimer disease. So you try to kind of find how big that problem is, not only from the amount of people, in our case here, patients of Alzheimer disease that suffer of that, which is also quite significant, we mentioned that, but also what are the consequences in the economy with that problem. So you see that immediately we quantify a societal problem as well as an economical problem. So that's very important. And then you say what will be your expected benefits from your solution. So this is something that you put it in a table format, or you can use different ways. So you can use this another one. So you can try to quantify your problem. There's from another example with visuals, as we've said, or so you try to make it as clear as possible. Advice tables, bullets, or even supplementary visuals do marvels here. They are quite catching for the evaluators. We like to see that kind of information in that format. So we've seen also number 2, which is the problem, and now we have number 3 section, which is where we talk about now our solution, because solutions should follow after the problem. You sell first the problem and then the solution. And the solution novelty is very well described based on the unique selling points. Sorry, it keeps on changing, I don't know why. So the unique selling point, maybe because I'm using the mouse extensively. So what are these? So what does your brand or your solution, it's better. So what does your solution does well? Yes. So this is a circle here. There's a circle of what your solution does well. Oh, okay. So this is what we do. And now, what the consumer or your end users or your clients, whatever want, what are the needs of your end users? So these are the needs. Yes. So we have that. And then we have already a very nice sector here, this one here, that fits with what we offer and the needs of our end users. However, this doesn't make it unique yet, because what we need is we need to see what is the competition doing well with respect to the needs of our end users. So if we do that with what the competition offers, then that means that this is a common area here, question marks. So these are not definitely unique selling points, maybe innovative one, but already competition offers them. But what is of really high value is this element here. This is our this is where we have our USPs. So you can use a Venn diagram, a triple Venn diagram like this one, or you can have that as a starting point and then try to highlight your unique selling points in a table format or in another type of diagram. Yes. Also, you find here something that you offer, they offer, but it's not part of the needs of our users. So don't care on that. Who cares? No, who cares on that? Unless you want to create a need, unless they haven't seen that need yet, and you create that. It's very famous, the quote of I think Henry Ford, that said that if I was asking my clients what they wanted, they would have asked a chariot with more horses, and not asking something like a car that really disrupted the mobility market. But definitely consider what are the consumer needs and not what they want, because maybe they haven't seen the needs yet. They haven't realized that this is a need for them. So that's why, or not only the wants, but also the needs. And how we describe our solution, our breakthrough solution, you can use a figure, first of all, of our solution. You can use a table for highlighting the breakthroughs. And bear in mind that your solution at the current stage, when you submit a proposal for the EIC Accelerator, for the full proposal, it should have already received, reached a TRL5. We will see what we mean with TRL5. Just for your information, for the time being, it means that you should have already received a first positive feedback from its intended end users. Yes, a first positive feedback. So this is what we have, even this is from a handful of end users. And end users are not only humans, because in some cases, your solution has as end users probably other machines or other algorithms. So in that case, your end user is not a human, is another algorithm that receives the output of your solution as input in their own case for doing something better than what they're doing now. So remember that when we say end users, we don't mean only humans. And yes, you can use some images related to the product to give a visual, also part of your video pitch deck or your PowerPoint pitch deck. You should include that to give us as evaluators an idea of what is your solution, if this is possible, of course. Definitely, what are the key questions that you need to answer under this section? So, first of all, why this is a novel innovation, how this is positioned in comparison to existing or alternative solutions. Please don't underestimate the value of the competition. We read many cases, we don't have any competition. We don't have any competition because this is something really unique. The fact that you have something really unique that we really believe you doesn't mean that makes you that eliminates fully your competition, because a competition can be someone also that takes money from your own clients. I mean, a competitor can be someone that doesn't offer any solution that you do, but they have already been receiving a lot of money from your clients. So maybe your client will not have any money to buy your own solution. So always find competitors, even if you believe that your solution is unique. And of course, we need to the more novel it has, then we expect to have more chances of being successful, being accepted in the market, as long as it addresses real needs of our end users. So, and why will it be successful? So you need to understand, because these are very well linked. Okay, the more novel it is, the more close to some needs that no one else is addressing, the more popular is going to be in the market, of course. And high risk, high potential innovation idea, you need to remember that, first of all, yes, we take for granted that there is a solution that has high potential to address the challenges that you have identified. But we expect that to be also a high risk. This is the reason that we have the EIC Accelerator. You remember that what we said at the beginning, we want to eliminate, we want to de-risk the further development of our solution, because it is quite disruptive, but we don't have that great evidence yet. So investors are a little bit reluctant to invest. That's why we would like the EIC Accelerator funding plus equity in order to de-risk the current phase of development. Has it reached TRL 5? Yes, you need to describe that. We said that, or at least completed TRL 4. We will see what is completed TRL 4. Complete TRL 4 means that you have already completed all your simulations or your experiments in the lab in a simulated environment. So, okay, what do you have already clear plans? How you're going to advance the TRL, the technological readiness level? We're going to see that of your solution. We need to see that. Have you sorted out any ownership challenges? Who is the owner of your solution? Do you have the freedom to operate? Is your solution possibly in conflict with some other patents? So this is the freedom to operate. And you have already ensured that if you proceed with your innovation is well protected, either through a patent or as a trade secret or in any other way that you believe is appropriate for your solution. And as already Serkan said, when you are having a solution that uses AI, you need to make sure that those AI algorithms have been developed in a safe, secure, and responsible manner with a clear identification and preventive approach to risk. I mean, we need, although it sounds quite challenging on one hand to explain that in half a page, because this is more or less what it is in 1 page maximum, still you need to give some principles that convince the evaluators that the AI system that your core solution is based on safe, secure, and responsible values. So these are the key questions that you need to answer. And you see now that when you're describing your solution, you need to describe also the current stage of development. And we have here whenever something, we describe it on paper, and we proved on paper that crazy idea can work, then we have reached TRL 1. If you have just an idea without any proof, it's TRL 0. Unproven concept, no testing, so this is 0. So if you have a crazy idea, this is always TRL 0. But as soon as you get that idea proved on paper, you prove on paper with a theory that can work with some mathematical models, then you have reached TRL 1. When you prove that not only that idea, but also the suggested technology can work, and you prove that on paper, then you have reached TRL 2. When you have the first experiments in your control simulated environment indicating that, yes, that crazy idea, your breakthrough works, we have already some first findings from the lab, from the simulated environment that prove that this idea with the technology work, you have reached TRL 3. And you reach TRL 4 when you are you have completed all the experiments, all the simulations in your control simulated environment, and they say it works. We have now it works. From in the lab it works. Okay. So now when you start going outside the lab in the environment with the actual end users, this is where you have TRL 5, and this is your starting point of EIC funding is that you have completed all the experiments in the lab or in the simulated environment. So now you can start, yes, as soon as you have already received first positive feedback from end users, then you reach TRL 5. As soon as you extend the number of end users and you receive further feedback on that, then you have received TRL 6. As soon as you are you have already completed all the testing that you have with end users, they've given you all that feedback, no more testing, you have reached TRL 7. And when you use that feedback in order to finalize and to have a complete system solution, no more fine-tuning, no more improvements, you have reached TRL 8. And now when you penetrate your solution in the market, you're reaching TRL 9. And this is your ultimate aim, to penetrate global and other European markets with your solution. So this is what we have here. And now you've got an idea with what we mean with TRLs. Now, the next thing, as soon as you describe the company, we describe the problem, we describe the solution, now we need to describe how attractive the market is. So for describing how attractive the market is, we use those three very popular terms: TAM, which is the total available market; SAM, which is the serviceable addressable market; and SOM, which is the serviceable obtainable market. Normally, your market, the one that you are realistically targeting to reach, is your SOM, your serviceable obtainable market. But investors would like to see also the future potential of your solution. Maybe if you had a big amount of funding, maybe you can reach and go out of SOM and reach SAM. Or maybe you can even reach TAM, the total demand for your product globally, at the global level. So these are things that, of course, we'll pay attention as evaluators and as jury panels to the SOM, the serviceable obtainable market, which is the more realistic one. But we would like to see also what is the potential, the immediate potential, and also the mid-term potential of our solution after we penetrate the market, which is the SAM, or even the very, very long-term potential of our solution, which can be the TAM, if not the SAM already. So we have those, and the key questions that we have to answer in section 4 is, okay, why there is, first of all, interest from end users, from the clients to pay, and also, if possible, how much they would be willing to pay. So that is something that will help you if you have already some feedback from end users, not only on how useful that solution is, how great that solution is, but how much they're willing also to pay for that. Any proof of concepts and how can you do that? Well, any proof of concept that you have already run with some users and clients, so you have already been in TRL 5. It's useful. Companies that they have reached already TRL 5 and they have completed TRL 5, they have more chances than the ones that have completed TRL 4. So even if as soon as you reach TRL 5 and your current solution is on TRL 6, then you have already more chances. Why? Because you have already proof of concept run with users and clients. You have already prove why this is of great value and possibly how much they're willing to pay for that to back up your business model. And also you need to identify your SWOT analysis. What is the SWOT analysis? What are the strengths and weaknesses of your solution? And what are the opportunities and threats of the environment related to your solution that you need to consider? So make sure that you have a very thorough SWOT analysis. And also, what is the plan to penetrate the market? I mean, whom you're going to partner with, how much that time will take, what kind of resources you need. So these are things that you need to address under section 4. And what are the barriers that exist or probably will emerge during the project duration that you need to overcome? How you're planning to overcome those barriers? And also give me an analysis of the competitors. Now you're going to give a more thorough analysis on that. Who are the competitors? How, in addition to your unique selling points, what are their strong points? And are those weaknesses for you? Are those threats for you? Because this is very well linked with the SWOT analysis here. So link it with your SWOT analysis. It can work on that one. And the next one, sorry, doesn't seem to move. Okay, it worked. So the next section, 5 pages more or less, is the marketing and sales plan, how you're going to sell your solution, how you're going to convince others that your solution is great. So you need to have a scalable business model, first of all. This is quite important. We would like to see that. We would like to see how easy is, if there is a bigger demand, also to scale up our business. So that means that we can have more revenues increased without necessarily increasing our investment. This is something that we like a lot, or the expenses in our infrastructure. So we need to have as much as possible higher productivity, but with as little as possible input and resources from our side. Yes. And how can you do that? Well, maybe because you don't need that many resources. Maybe it's a software solution that can scale up quite easily, or it is based on an automated process, or the labor is quite low, or the replication potential is quite easy. You need to think about it, but you need to convince on the scalability. So you need also to answer what's the target market here, what is the impact of the innovation, how will the innovation pay off? I mean, company, does innovation have the potential to scale up, whether you have already foreseen that in your strategy. You need also to provide your estimated cost and financial needs. These are quite important. Your projections, you need in a spreadsheet to provide your projections of your sales, when you're going to reach your break-even point. What does that mean? Break-even point is when you stop losing money from your sales, but now you're creating profits and they remain profits in your company. And what is your go-to-market? What are the milestones that you have to achieve in order to reach your market? This is very important. Do you need any regulatory approvals like the CE or in Europe, or the FDA approval if it is a product, a hardware? Whether you need to go to ensure that you have some capital for penetrating those markets. Maybe you need to overcome some competitors that are well established, or your solution is brand new, so there is lack of trust as a newcomer in the market. So these are things that you need to see. And also whether you have included in your marketing plan some key partners or key opinion leaders. This is another name that is used, KOL, or key opinion leaders, or key influencers that are willing to promote and endorse your solution, or maybe they are part of this is what we would like, maybe they are part of your board. This is something that we really like to see. in your applications. And what is your pricing policy? Maybe you have already that from the proof of concept from the previous one. You got already some feedback. Please indicate that and justify why you're suggesting that, because you have already some robust feedback from the potential end users. Then you have a section 6, the team and management, which is 2 pages. Now, many people will say to you that team is the most important one. It is important, but mainly for technologies that are of lower maturity, so TRL2, TRL3, when you're looking for pre-seed funding, it can be the most important element is the team. But when you have already developed a proof of concept, you've reached now TRL5, you have proved your credential as a team. So it can be even more important now what kind of collaborations you have for the go-to market plan. So this is something that you need to take into consideration. Nevertheless, you need to make sure that you have the others on board. These profiles here are quite important ones. Even if you don't have those, I say here include photos of the people. Why? Because whenever we see people, photos of people next to roles, we have stronger engagement as evaluators. We like to see faces and match faces with roles with paper, with text. So try to include your photos next to that. And even if you don't have a specific expertise on board, that's not the end of the world. Say that, identify that, and say, what are your plans for engaging that missing expertise? Avoid subcontracting. We are explicitly asked by European Commission to check the subcontracting cost and what kind of service they're going to undertake, and if we're not convinced of their need, or if they are creating some doubts regarding the expertise of the team, then subtract some marks from that. So we don't suggest subcontracting. You can use it. It's more than welcome for clinical trials, maybe because you need to engage some and have some clinical trials, not necessarily in Europe, even in India. This is in health projects very popular. Or some subcontracting for your getting the CE certification for the label for importing in European markets, or legal expertise for the freedom to operate or for applying for a patent. These are allowed, unless they are quite excessive ones. These are allowed as subcontracting. As I said already, try to have an advisory board with high-profile people. These can be key opinion leaders or key influencers. So it's extremely, extremely important to have them on board, as these can be investors, technical experts, distributors, marketers, also IPR experts, in addition to key opinion leaders that we have here, key opinion influencers or key opinion leaders, in addition to that. And answer the following, all goes as a checklist. Does the company have the team need to implement already? Are the roles within the team well-defined and sufficient? Are the missing competencies well-defined and quantified? Okay, how much you need to include a sales manager, for example. Is the gender balance priority addressed? This is very important. We are asked specifically to see whether there's a gender balance, whether we have in key C-level positions a gender balance. Gender balance doesn't mean necessarily more women than men, because this is a confusion that sometimes happens. No, balance means balance. And a more or less, not an actual, but a more or less well-balanced distribution between males and females, women and men in the board or in C-level positions. This is something that we would like to see, the CEO, CSO, CTO, and etc. Another thing that is quite important, we would like to see the structure of the cap synthesis, the structure of the shares. We don't like to see, for example, elements that a freelancer to have that, or someone that is not part of the implementation team to have shares. We don't like that unless they are, of course, well-established investors. But other than that, we don't want core elements in to have a share in our equity synthesis. Now, section 7, 2 pages, is we need to identify risks, and these risks include only risks that are not technological risks. These are risks that are market-related risks. They are financial-related risk, competition-related risk, human resource-related risk, legal and regulatory. Also, you can relate them with section 5. We talked already about that. But for each risk, and this is important, we need to do an assessment. And what an assessment means? An assessment means, okay, how possible is that risk to take place? And if it takes place, what will be the negative impact? And last but not least, to suggest some mitigation methods to overcome, to avoid taking place of that risk. Mitigation means preventive. And in addition to preventive, you can suggest also reactive measures. Yes, if they take place, in spite your preventive measures, so these are reactive, and these are, another name for those are contingency. Contingency measures in the project management and in the investment jargon means reactive measures. So if at least mitigation, but for some really significant risks with high impact and with high likelihood to take place, address and suggest also reactive measures, contingency measures. And we've seen in the financial plan where we start discussing that too. It's a summary of your Excel spreadsheet that you need to include as an annex. This is where you stop. What is the point? When is that point that you stop losing money? When that will be? Will it be 1 year after the project end? Will it be 2 years, 3 years after the project end? So because we need to see for how long you will manage to survive up to the point that you're starting now reducing and creating profit. Okay, we understand that for some really cutting-edge innovations, you can have from the break-even point from 5 to 10 years in some extreme cases, but this is, as I said, highly variable. We would like to see it in 3 years, up to 5 years, but in some extreme cases, we might see that in 10 years. And we can allow that, for example, when you're giving a new medicine, and that has to go through really thorough approval. So it might take some cases even 10 years to penetrate the market and then start selling it and producing for profit instead of loss. And you need to tell us what are your hypotheses for reaching that break-even point, why it takes that short or it's that long. Please try to be as thorough as possible. And then we have the implementation plan, where in the implementation plan, we have 2 parts. We have the grant scheme where you are applying only for funding, or we have also the equity scheme where you are applying for end or equity. So it's around 12 pages. Activities that we need to see for the grant scheme is, okay, technology validation activities. So this is more or less what we see as a budget for the technology validation, depending, the higher is the TRL of your solution, then the lower will be the budget of that, of course. So if you're starting at TRL 5, then yes, it's going to be much bigger than budget. But we would like to see also market validation activities. Now, the higher the TRL of your solution is, the higher is going to be also the cost, the budget of those market validation activities. And we have here, yes, patent filing, market replication, approvals from different regulatory authorities, agreements with distribution channels for our solution. So these are things that are fitting under market validation. And for the equity scheme, yes, this is where you get support for penetrating European and global markets. This is where you need now the equity support. You need investors, to grow, if possible, exponentially with your solution. It's ready, your solution now, but you want to reach different markets, many other markets. This is where equity comes in place. And in some cases, also for improving or maintaining your state-of-the-art advantage that you have. Yes, that can be part of the equity also, because suppose that your proposal is based on AI. AI progresses so fast that you need to keep up with the current trends. So that's why probably you will need further equity for maintaining that AI competitive advantage that you have. And how you support takes the company to the next value point. Now, as I described already, you need, and you're strongly encouraged to have some emails or some letters from potential investors that even if they are, it doesn't matter even if they are rejection ones, as long as they give the reason for rejecting it. And the reason of rejecting can be the basis of the EU support. Yes. So these rejection reasons can be of technical nature, market nature, because of the general financial crisis, or maybe for some legal restrictions. For example, current investors are bound from their fund rules to invest, not to invest the whole sum needed, so they invested some part and then they ask for a matching fund from other sources. So maybe this is according to the agreement that they have, or maybe because there is lack of collateral, meaning you cannot get a bank loan because the bank asks you the amount of loan that you're going to get. It asks you to put it in a safe, the same amount to put it. You need to have the cash to put it in a collateral bank account. So this might not work. And provide letters of intent to support the current reluctance, the reasons that we said here. Try to seek for that. These are extremely useful. And also think about some possible exit points. These are quite useful. So in your strategy, say how you plan to exit, and probably either selling your company to a larger company. Maybe you have already, preferably a European one, maybe you have already some discussions on that, you can mention them. Or maybe you want to penetrate the stock market, for example, the London stock market, or the US for innovative companies, the NASDAQ, First North. These are stock exchange markets specifically for European-based organizations. So you might want to consider them. And of course, the expected ROI, return of investment, can vary widely depending on the investment type and depending on the solution. But what we would like is 25 to 50% annually by a time frame of 5 to 7 years. This is something that the evaluators and the jury and potential investors consider as quite attractive. So here in the section 11, one page, this is a common mistake. I think not just reference the amount of funding requested, but provide detailed information on the activities and evidence that they have sufficient financial means, revenue flow, existing investors to finance the deployment and scaling up of your innovation. Or at least you are in the process of obtaining sufficient financial means. I mean, you're not depending exclusively for going further with your EIC fund. The EIC fund is to help you to expand, but it should not help you to survive. Yes, this is very important. The EIC fund, or even equity funding, is for growing and not for surviving. Yes, it's quite important. And then we have broad impacts. Okay, these are commercial, economical, environmental impact. We have societal impacts, social, economic, environmental impacts. Yes, these can be ones. You can see whether they also increase the employability in Europe. If you grow, if you scale your solution, what will be the impact into the employability or into the unemployment rate? Also, but don't spend that much time of that, how your proposal contributes to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. This is why the politicians decided to support, the European Commission decided to support the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and they of course, that's more than welcome. But because of that, European Commission is forced to ask you to explain how your proposal contributes to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Don't spend more than one paragraph on that. 3 sentences, 4 sentences are more than enough on that. Find those UN Sustainable Development Goals that quite fit to your own ones. And also, if the project, if your solution penetrates the market and reaches a large scale, you need also to say what will be the technological advancements that we have as a Europe on that. So not only the economical and the societal advancements, but also the technological advancements as Europe that we're going to have. Now we're reaching close the end. This is where we have just one slide for the annexes. We've seen all the different sections of the grant application, all the 20 different sections, but in addition to that, we have also some annexes. The pitch deck already, Serkan talked about that, the video pitch. The lump sum is now, as you've seen, you need to describe in detail how much is going to be your funding expenses, your cost expenses for personnel costs, for travel costs, for other costs, and etc. in detail in Excel spreadsheet. But the good news is that if your proposal is accepted, then you don't have to worry about any financial report. As long as you complete the work, you will receive the amount that you have allocated per work package, which is great per funding. Now, we're not going to go through the lump sum. However, there is a very nice training that we did on lump sum. We've been doing that quite regularly in the program. So if I check here the new shares, sorry, but we have to do that because it changes. Where is it? Review. Where is it? Google Chrome here. This one. Share here. You see here you have that the link. Just click on it. It takes you to one of our trainings. So specifically this one on training focus group training 23, we have a dedicated section on lump sum. This is a very nice training on that. So try to use it. Try to download the material is quite handy and quite useful to see how you can deal successfully with the lump sum. Okay, let me go back to the PowerPoint presentation and then wrap it up and finish. Why is that one? So I hope you can see the slides. This is slide 24. Hopefully you can see it. If not, let me know. And then you have your financial projections. We talked about that. Some mandatory data that you agree that if your proposal is not evaluated, or if it is evaluated, provide a summary of your project in Codis, in the hub of EIC, or to give your seal of excellence and inform public authorities about that. What is your analysis of freedom to operate? How you plan, if you plan to create some research data, how you plan to distribute that, the CVs of key personnel all in one document, and letters of intent all in one PDF document. And in addition, you might have some extra pages like results of a survey, feedback that you receive from end users to show the high value of your innovation and how much pricing they would like to see on that. Anything that you believe could help the evaluators. As evaluators, we have 1 day to evaluate the full proposal. So it's quite a lot. So you can give us as much information as possible, as long as we're interested. And we would like to see that we believe in that solution. Because if we believe and we have already been impressed with what you've said so far, then we will read all the material. And now in order to make sure that everything is in order and reflects our final decision. And that's the end of my session. So I took a little bit more, but it was we had to discuss all the different elements of the full proposal with examples also in order to get a good idea of what you need to be careful of and consider many of those as a checklist. So I give the floor back to Sarah. I don't know whether any questions or something, because I think according to the agenda there are questions that have to be asked.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. You must be very tired.
No,
I really appreciate it. It was a very comprehensive session for us.
thank you.
Thank you very much for all those details. Actually, I tried to answer some of the questions in the Q&A box, but maybe we can have your view on one of these questions. There was one question about technology readiness levels indicated in the application forms. Should the applicants indicate the current technology readiness level at the proposal submission date, or should they project a technology readiness level that they will reach by the start date of the project, which is at least 6 months from the cutoff date? So
Yes.
there will be progress eventually. So maybe they will reach TRL 5, 6, or 7. Maybe they are not eligible today, but they will be by the start of the project.
Exactly. They need to consider the current state as the one that they will reach in 6 months from now. This is my view. I mean, if they haven't reached that yet and they believe they will reach it in 6 months from now, my advice is not to say it. My advice is to say that they have reached that if they strongly believe that they can reach that. Because if you say to them that the current situation is not yet TRL, it hasn't completed TRL 4, and then you face some ineligibility issues, and that's a pity. So that's my
Right. So I answered the other questions because most of them were about rules or procedures. So we don't have any question left at the moment. Normally we should have taken a break for 10 minutes, but maybe we can just take a 5-minute break until 4 p.m. and we can come back for the last 2 presentations. Is it okay for everyone?
perfect from my side.
Okay. Then let's take a break for 5 minutes and then come back at 4 p.m.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
See you.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone again. After the break, we are here back for the last two presentations. The first one is my presentation about how to stand out among the competition in the Accelerator program. And the second one, Odysseas will share his tips and recommendations to convince evaluators and jury members. And around 5 p.m. we will finish, perhaps with your questions. And if you have time, we can watch some additional video pitches. So I'm an expert evaluator and Turkey and Horizon Europe expert with engineering and business background and trying to help Turkish SMEs and startups research teams to win Accelerator and other EIC support. Please, again, don't forget to check official documents before finalizing your proposals. Here are my 10 pieces of advice that I detailed on Monday, actually, when we were talking about short proposals. I will not detail them at the same level today, but I will just share the headlines with you. The first one is follow your own path, which means there is no single winning formula or a single recipe for everyone. You are free to choose your own path, and you need to explain and justify your strategies, actually, when you are TRL 5 or TRL 8, when you are from different industries, background, expert, when you have different vision of the world for the future. You may not propose the same application, or you may not prioritize the same technology features for your company. So you choose yours, make your choice, and explain them, justify if they work for private VCs, if they work for your customers, then your strategies will also convince evaluators. So aspire beyond the technology means you don't need to push the technology to the limits. You need to push the innovation, impact to the limit. In some cases, you need to keep your technological progress at some level, and you need to also be concerned about business development, sustainable business model, and market demand. If it's the wrong time, there is no point to push certain technologies to the market. You need to also consider market pull for your technology and other dimensions, of course. So turn your technology into a blessing. When we look at, for example, social media, it could be a blessing for us because it was democratizing information and news for everyone. Everybody in the world could access information and news and could communicate with each other almost free at any time, 24 hours, and very fast. But at some point, we had developed social media addiction, or social media channels started to spread fake news and deep fake and incorrect, inaccurate propaganda. We started to see trolls everywhere. So I believe entrepreneurs and founders, innovators have the responsibility to turn your technology into good use for our humanity. Find your unfair advantage. So as a startup, you have many limitations, restrictions, limited resources, incapabilities. You need to hire people, you need to raise money, etc. There are also other sides of the coin. There are industry giants. There are venture capital firms with billions of euros. So how are you going to compete with them? Obviously, you're not an established company. You're not the favorite in the ring. So, excuse me. So you need to find some unfair, but still legal advantages to beat your competition. What could they be? For example, some highly talented researchers, some special network capacity, access to certain resources because you are in Turkey, maybe, or because you have some networks, or maybe you have a patent or economies of scale. Think about these unfair advantages that will not make you lose against the industry giants. So build your value creation network and synergies, which means you need to align your project objectives, goals, and activities with European goals, European acts, and European priorities, and UN Sustainable Development Goals. And you just don't need to focus on your added value or your product, because no single product can create value for the customer segment. For example, when we have a smartphone, it has different parts from all over the world. So as an entrepreneur, as a brand, you need to develop some disruptive, some market-creating components in your value proposition. You also need to bring all other network elements together to add value to your value proposition. For example, apps, different network or streaming companies, or different variables. They also add value to smartphone. That's why we need smartphones every 1 or 2 years. They all work together. They are integrable. They are interoperable. They create the value all together. No single company or entrepreneur is sufficient to change humans' life, quality of life. And estimation and justification of your cost in your lump sum budget is very important to convince evaluators at the first place, because there is no reporting in midterm or after your project completion. So initial project budget is very important to list and justify. And gear up for investment rounds, meaning no single company asks for investment or grant support from European Commission at its first financial need. You always need to raise money from grantors, investors, government institutions, state funds, or family or friends, or you need to put your own money, for example, 50K, then 300K. In 2 years, you need to raise maybe 1 million euros. Then you request 2 million euros grants from the EIC and 5 million euros from the EIC fund and its co-investors. That's the situation. And use of AI in responsible and safe and robust way is very important, because as you are well aware of, European Commission developed its EU AI Act, and EU is very concerned about risks of AI use. You need to explain them, and you need to meet the requirements of AI Act. And diversity and equality, even if SMEs are not required to develop a gender equality plan, you still need to put the necessary emphasis on gender equity. It doesn't always mean that you need to hire equal number of females and males. In some cases, if you're a startup, if you're a small company, if there aren't enough, let's say, PhDs, female PhDs in your industry, all your team members may be male. But when you have female employees, do you offer them the same salary for the same position? Do you give them decision authority as you give to male employees? Or promotion, work culture, ethics? These are the issues that you need to be concerned of. You will also need to develop a recruitment plan, even if you don't have gender balance in terms of number of employees at the moment. Your recruitment plan may develop some type of solutions, strategies, and vision to maintain that gender equity in the future. That would be also convincing. And reflect on the latest trends and data insights. You always need to check first EIC reports, EU reports, official documents databases to develop your arguments and to do your desk research. And then, excuse me, if you follow objective and globally recognized resources, your arguments will be more persuasive. So these are the 10 pieces of advice from my side, and I detailed them 2 days ago, and its presentations are on the help desk, and you can reach them if you wonder the details. And there are also actual EIC Accelerator beneficiaries, pitch deck examples from EIC Accelerator beneficiaries on our help desk. In a previous event, we shared more than 5 pitch decks, actual winners raising money from VCs at different stages from different countries and different industries. You can also click this link and look at those VC pitch decks. And now I'd like to look at 3 examples from 3 different countries, 3 different funding types, so that you can have a good impression of the winning projects. How do they express themselves, or what kind of projects are supported by the EIC? The first one from France. The company name is Cefalgo. Its project Adapte. It was a applicant in March 2023 cutoff, and it won grant first. support, and the company signed a grant agreement in October 19th, and they picked the first day of the next month as the start date, and the project takes 2 years, and requested amount is 2.5 million euros, almost the maximum amount for the grant project. These, this 2 years grant supported project is different than equity supported project. Equity supported period may take, maybe 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. It's endless because you will not bankrupt or you will not terminate the project and so on. So I put link to this page here, and there is also a link to Cephalgo company page, which we will visit in a few minutes. This is a novel and accurate emotion recognition system based on a digital app. It monitors real-time patient emotional state, and it is used in psychiatry. So it is based on recent developments in psychiatry, artificial intelligence, and in several other areas. So as an evaluator, when I look at this project abstract, I would underline these sentences or numbers. For example, the abstract, this is kind of a summary of pitch deck, actually. 150 million people, so there is a big market, and this number is sharply increasing. So the market is big and growing, and there aren't enough psychiatrists to cope with their problems. So there is a high demand but low supply, and there is no way psychiatrists can deal with this number of people. But there may be a way, because patients' emotional status, if they can be monitored, they can give insights to psychiatrists to monitor more patients on real time. But there are no accurate tools to monitor this emotional status. So the first accurate, remote, and continuous emotion tracker will be developed by this company, Cephalgo, using EEG and AI-driven algorithms. And it has 88% accuracy. So it has a great potential. But the thing is that this company applies for grant first support. In 2024, we don't have grant first type of support, but this company is a great example to compare grant first and grant only and blended finance types of support. Cephalgo is at the beginning of its technology development. It is probably at technology readiness level 5. It has a lot of uncertainties, risks, so it doesn't even know whether it can develop this technology in the future, so that it asks only for grant, and grant first, not grant only. So in 2024, you need to be a little more developed. Technology risks should be minimized. You need to be sure that you can develop this prototype. Technology is possible. And you can look at the other aspects during your project. So there is another one. We talked about health, artificial intelligence, and digital technologies. Now, this is a traditional industry, or at least it looks like a traditional one. A company from Estonia, Raiku, developed a packaging technology. June 2023 cutoff, and it needs both grant and investment. So it doesn't have sufficient amount of money raised from the venture capital firms. Again, grant agreement signed in February, and they picked the first day of the next month as start date, and 2-year project most of the time, and 2.5 million euros a requested amount of grant. So this is an optimization demonstration of natural biodegradable packaging from wood in desired shapes for various industries. So this is a very traditional, no AI, nothing so fancy, cool packaging. Actually, we've been using packaging for hundreds of years, and we will be using it. And wood is, we don't want to cut wood, actually. At first impression, this doesn't seem to be suitable for EIC Accelerator, because we are looking for clean tech, circular economy, and health, artificial intelligence, quantum, and next generation of everything. But this company, let's look at the abstract and let's see what it offers. So there is an ongoing real problem. We have more than 400 million tons of plastic waste in the world, and plastic packaging waste accounts for 46% of the total plastic waste. and it is unavoidable. Even though we want zero carbon emission in the world, even though we don't want to use more packaging, we don't want more waste, this is unavoidable. This is the fact. So we need to have some type of solutions for these problems that we've been experiencing for hundreds of years, maybe, if I'm not exaggerating. So this is a threat to ecosystems, and we need sustainable alternatives. So this company developed a manufacturing technology for packaging. This is a proprietary technology. It also developed a packaging product. So both manufacturing technology and the output of that manufacturing technology, both are innovative, market creating. So they can manufacture and sell packaging stuff. Also, they can license this manufacturing technology around the world based on wood, zero chemical, so it is sustainable, and it is 10 times more effective or efficient, I would say. And the company also uses some terms like disruption, circular economy, and EU Green Deal and UN Sustainable Development Goals, because European Commission always underlines the importance of market creating disruption, breakthrough technologies, circular economy, etc. So these are fragile areas to put in your proposal and to put them into good use, and of course. So the third one is a grant-only project. Quantby from Germany won grant-only support at June 2023 cutoff. Apparently, this company is a little bit more mature. They already raised some money, and they have investors waiting for TRL 9 for this product to invest. They probably have strong letters of support as well. Because of confidentiality reasons, we don't have access, or at least we can share these proposals and attachments with you. But all this course page or company web page, etc., are public, and they still give a lot of important information for us. Particularly, company websites are very transparent, objective, and they are kind of copying and pasting a full proposal into a website form. So this is an automated risk management platform to enable safety, fairness, explainability, and continuous monitoring of generative AI systems. This is what the EIC actually is looking for, because when they are offered an AI solution by an EIC Accelerator applicant, they always require that company to make sure safe, fair, explainable, and robust development and commercialization of that AI technology. So the problem is known. The solution is already demanded. So what would underline here? What would highlight as an evaluator? So there is a global AI market. There are numbers, tam, son, traditional, those, total available, serviceable, available, and serviceable, and obtainable market in the short run. And growth rates, annual growth rates, they are all encouraging. And this company develops a platform, the first all-in-one, model agnostic, plug-and-play solution. This is more than what we can ask for. This is for the risk management of generative AI. And it will make companies comply with more than 100 standards and regulations, so that all AI developed in AI will be following EU AI Act, and they will be responsible, trustworthy AI systems. Perfect. So let's check out the websites of these companies in a moment, and then I will finish. So let me stop this. And we already checked Cordis web pages, so I will make this quick. The first company is Cefalgo. I hope you can see my web browser. Cefalgo, apparently the project title is different than what the company publishes or promotes in its website. So what I understand is there is already going business here. Some part of it, some technologies, some use cases, some product developments, or the next generation of the current product will be supported by the EIC. when we look at the web page, some companies share their EIC Accelerator pitch video here. This company didn't. Most companies have type of competition tables, or they try to point out their competitive advantages. But this website targets usually customers. There are also some investor relations sections which we can develop some insights for our proposals. These sections, product. So there is a product and solution is different. Some companies approach this issue, a technology, solution, and application, or industry. This company didn't make a lot of information public here because it is an early stage development, and that's why it requests only grant-only support. So that's the point I want to make here. This is the worst case that can be submitted to EIC Accelerator in 2024 because there is no grant-first application anymore. So let's close this one. Can you still see this Raiku web page? I believe yes, if there is anyone left in the room. So Raiku produce 100% compostable that wood-based plastic to substitute plastic packaging. These are the products. And if you look at this web page, it starts with our footprint. So climate change, environment-friendly approach. This is one of the things they want to highlight. How they will reduce carbon emission, or how they will save wood 20 times more efficient. They also have social media. They use digital marketing as always. There are many supporters. EIC isn't the only and first supporter. It is not the only and first investor. They have national and international collaborations, consortiums, partnerships, kind of a value chain. And when we look at the team, we see more than 10 people, multiple co-founders, some PhDs. There are usually some chief science officers or chief research officers. Traditionally, we used to see chief operation officer, chief technology officer, but science and research officers are usually getting more seen and over the years in deep tech companies. So there is a deep tech component here. How you can convince people, or how you can make deep tech relevant for your company, because you may develop a new technology based on scientific discoveries today, but if you are not a deep tech company, if you don't have the capability to do those research, continue those research over time, in 2 years, you will not be a deep tech company anymore. So let's look at the other one, Quandela. Quandela, a quantum cloud service. This one is also a major beneficiary. They have different solutions, different platform services, and they have various use cases in different industries. And they have previous research publications shared online with everyone publicly, objectively. And they also have patents and develop technologies. When they submit their application to EIC Accelerator, they already started to develop the next generation of their technologies. So let me finish with a few notes here. So we reviewed these websites, proposals, core databases for tens of companies winning projects, and we had our lessons. One of the lessons I take is impactful projects win EIC or VC support or investment, not the best written, well-written proposals or fancy pitch decks, pitch videos. So you don't need to create very exaggerated pitch decks with animations, music, background, and everything. Focus on your project impact and focus on the future of your business. And they always have web and social media presence, which ensures transparency. And they communicate with their customers, investors, and everyone. And they value branding. They think of themselves as a brand, not a technology provider or manufacturing company. But it is important, as they say about fair data, as open as possible, as closed as necessary. They have a capable, growing, big team. They have a recruitment plan. They always hire, and they pay attention to gender equality. And they always have boards, mentors, and advisors, not just team members in their payroll. You can consider mentors, consultants, and part-time employees as well. You can see past accomplishments and future plans on their website, also in their proposal, of course, a clear timeline of progress from at least 2 years behind or 5-10 years before until the next 5-10 years, their vision. They always have a working prototype, and they are challenging their customers. They always put a link, try our demo, book for a demo. They share their visuals, pilot studies, evidence, and these are very important for credibility. And they always have notable previous grants or investments or prizes, and they have investment routes. EIC support is crucial for them. EIC will definitely make a change, impact in the future of the business, but if its absence doesn't kill the project, because they don't just rely on the EIC to keep working on their project, and they have ongoing research and projects. You are aware of their next products, next use cases, next research idea, vision. This is part of deep tech nature, and they don't ignore the importance of key partners. You can see their value chain, and that brings credibility, persuasion, and you can see the global ambition and execution power beyond the successful working prototype in the lab. And finally, they always go green. They always reduce carbon emission. It doesn't have to be, the project should be about carbon emission or hydrogen, clean energy, or circular economy. As a traditional manufacturing company, you always need less waste, less energy usage, and so on. And they share some metrics to show how they contribute to EU Green Deal and UN Sustainable Development Goals. These are the lessons and commonalities. Of course, there is not a single formula, or there is no single one perfect full proposal. And there are similarities and unique parts. There are things that can scalable. There are things that are not scalable, unique to each project. You need to define them, explain. And this is the best way, I think, to communicate your project with the evaluators. So thank you very much. This is my presentation. I'm sorry that it may take 10 minutes longer, maybe, or 5. Now I'd like to invite Odysseas to finish today's seminar, tips and tricks on how to become successful applicant. Thank you very much for your patience. I'm sorry, I apologize, Odysseas, if it takes 5 minutes more.
It's okay, Serkan. Thank you. Let me pass directly to the presentation so that we don't delay our participants. So this is a presentation that we have already given in one more time, I believe, in the event that we hosted in Istanbul, but I have updated this presentation with a few things that I consider very interesting and very important for those that are applying for the full proposal. So I am trying to analyze the proposal, the full proposal, and the things that you have to complete in this proposal and show you how to approach it. So one of the questions, of course, is to describe a problem and the market opportunity and why, what is the need, why is this need unsatisfied? Now, in a lot of cases, we see solutions that are in search for problems. So a lot of applicants try to describe a solution without having an identified problem. There is a solution, indeed, there is a technological solution there, but that doesn't mean that it is something that society or clients or a specific market segment requires. And as a few examples, I give you here some of the most famous ones. So Amazon Fire Phone, which was a complete flop, first and mainly because iPhone was already in the market, Android was already in the market, so the competition was very high. There wasn't any need for something so similar without any distinct features. Segway is probably the best example in our case, because when it came out, it was hailed as a very revolutionary device. It was something that everybody thought that the streets will be full of segways, but in fact, it was discontinued, and it never fulfilled its ambitions. Coca-Cola decided to change the Coke, and another very interesting example is the Juicero, a not very well-known product, but one of the greatest flops in the history of hardware startups. That was a juicer, but you couldn't use it with fruits. You had to buy some packages of squeezed juice, and then users realized that they didn't even needed the device. They could buy the packages and just squeeze them into the glasses. So that's another failed example. So as a takeaway, remember that you need to identify real needs in the market before developing new products. If you believe that you have a solution, then make sure that this solution actually solves a problem, and it is not something that it is very dear to you and came up maybe after some research, but there is no market need for that. You need to be able to respond and address genuine customer pain points. Another thing that you need to pay attention to when you describe your innovation and your solution and product and services is that you need, of course, to describe your value proposition, your development stage, and your IP strategy. So this is something that a lot of applicants tend to ignore or not give the appropriate importance to that. And regardless of your idea, regardless of the solution that you have, you need to perform what we call a freedom to operate analysis. And freedom to operate is more or less a research that you do using the tools that you have, the internet and some tools that I will show you later on, and try to see if there is any block in what you have in mind. So are there any patents? Are there any intellectual property rights there that if you go on with your idea, you will infringe them, you will breach them? And this is something very important. You need to have that. It is necessary because you need to be sure that you will avoid any litigation, you will avoid infringement, so nobody will come suing you because they will claim that you have breached their patent. You have a clear path for development, so investors will see that you have indeed looked up the market, identified any potential blocks, and know how to overcome them, or you have done your research and that there are any blocks. And it is very important because this is a way to manage your risk. So there are some simple steps that you need to take. First of all, you need to know your product, outline what your program will do. That this is something that you already have, we assume. And then you need to find if there are any existing patents. You can look in one of the online patent databases. I will show you the links later on, and see if there are any active patents that may pose a problem. If there are any relevant patents, it doesn't have to be the exact thing. Maybe there are some patents that are quite similar to what you're developing. Then you need to examine the claim parts, and this will tell you what the patent protects, and decide based on that if your product has any overlap with these protections. Once you do that, then you will know how to proceed. If there is a block, then you have a number of options. You can either change a little bit your product so that you can make sure that this specific product this specific claim doesn't apply. So there is no danger of the owner of the patent to sue you or to take you into court. Or you can, if you believe that this is something absolutely important, then you can contact the owner of the patent and start examining if you can collaborate with them. And of course, at this point, things may get a little tricky. They may get a little bit complicated. So if you see that there is even a slight chance that you are infringing a patent of somebody else, or if you believe that there is a chance that your product or your solution may infringe some patent, then you need to take the advice of a professional, and you need to explain how you're going to do that in your proposal. So what tools do we need to search? There are plenty of databases. Google Patent, it's a very solid source, although it is mostly US related, but we have the European Patent Office, the SPESNet. We have the WIPO Patent Scope from the World IP Organization, and of course Mendeley. This is more for publications, but it's also useful. It's not for patents, but it will show you if there are any intellectual property beyond patents. And the safest way is to go manual. Forget any search using AI or generative AI tools. At this point, they will probably do not give you reliable results. And you need these reliable results to be able to present a solid response in your proposal. So we've done with the freedom to operate. We know that, yes, fine, you can operate. Then you need to explain and present your market analysis, your competition analysis. Both Nikolaos and Serkan elaborated on that. What is the total addressable market? With what is the serviceable market? Are there any customers willing to pay? So that means that you need to understand your market. You need to make sure that you have a fit in there. And in doing that, it is very interesting to see what others have done wrong in the future, in the past, excuse me. So here are some examples. My favorite one is Sony Walkman. Some of you were at our age probably remember that there was a Sony Walkman, and it revolutionized music long before the MP3 player and Apple iTunes, and we all used to have one, and we thought that this was the future. But Sony failed to see the MP3 revolution and what would happen to the music with the streaming services and all this development. So they became obsolete. BlackBerry. I used to have a BlackBerry, and it was great. It was fantastic. But then iPhone came out, and BlackBerry insisted in using the same model, insisting in having this bulky keyboard, insisting of using their own servers, which were great, but they couldn't match the usability of iPhone. Britannica and Blockbusters are some of the dinosaurs. They used to be the biggest encyclopedia for Britannica and Blockbuster, the biggest video rental franchise. They both failed because they failed to see what was coming in front of them. So as a takeaway, make sure that you understand and address the changing consumer needs. Maybe you have started something 2 years ago, but things are going in such a fast pace now, but you need to adapt. Things, especially in AI-related subjects, change by the day, not by the hour, not by the week or by the year, by the day, sometimes even within a day. That means that if you are working on such a space, maybe what you have suggested in your short proposal needs some considerable adaptations by now, because the developments between the short proposal and your full proposal, the one that you are going to submit, are completely different. So you need to be agile, you need to be adaptable, and you need to listen to the customers and, of course, embrace innovation and make sure that you make your solution work. And what if you use data? What if data is not only a major component, not only part of your product, but it is also a major component in your solution? Then you will need to submit, along with your application, a data management plan. This is something that it's well known to researchers and to academics who work in Horizon Europe proposals or Horizon 2020 proposals in the past. And a data management plan is nothing more than a document that outlines how your research data is going to be handled. So what are you doing with them? How are you collecting them? How are you processing them? How are you storing them, preserving them, and if needed, sharing them? Let's call it your internal GDPR. So it is your data policy that will ensure not only privacy, but a number of other things, mainly what we call the FAIR principles in data management. So making your data, your research data, remember that we're talking about your research data here, making them findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. I understand that in EIC Accelerator, we are talking about commercial applications. Even so, you need to keep a balance, and you need to prove that you are keeping a balance, that some of the data that you are collecting, you will return back to the community in order to keep you in the competitive edge. This is a sign of professionalism. It makes you look good to reviewers, and it is a commitment that you are using data responsibly. So you need to focus on your data potential. They are a key asset in your proposal. They are a key asset in the growth of your company. And of course, you need to show that you have an alignment with open science, up to a part, of course, that does not create any commercial problem for your product. And I want to show you some examples of startups, not necessarily startups that were financed by EIC, but startups that are using data as a main product, as a main component of their solution. Benchling, for instance, and Tempus are both operating in the healthcare and biotech. Ultima operates in air pollution and environmental aspects. Planet is doing the same with Earth imaging satellites, collecting imagery used for environmental monitoring. Qualtrics, probably you know, it's more of a social media analytics, employee engagement, user satisfaction, and all that. And data.ai is used to be Apani. So you may remember that this is more targeted to mobile use, so mobile analytics. All these companies use data. So in case they were applying for EIC, they should have a detailed data management plan. Another section that you need to work on and explain is the marketing and sales plan. And what do you need to explain there? First and foremost, your business model and your go-to-market plan. Commercialization strategy and scaling up will come out of your business model. Once you explain your business model clearly, then everything else will fall in line. What does that mean? That means that you need to explain your unique selling proposition. Remember that that was a requirement also in point 2. So you have already briefly described in point 3, so, excuse me, your unique selling proposition when you were describing your solution. So this is not the first time that you touch upon it, but now you dig deeper. So you explain your business model and why your business model is better than the others. And the 4 examples that I have here succeeded not mainly, because of their business model. So Apple iPod and iTunes is a combination. They have they introduced an excellent device, iPod, but that excellent device was nothing new compared to other devices that were already in the market. It was overpriced, it was expensive. Okay, it was Apple, but it didn't bring any revolution to the way we were listening to music. There were plenty of MP3 players at that point in the market. What did revolutionize the user experience was the pairing of iPod with iTunes. So you didn't need to go through a process of uploading your MP3, transforming the songs into different format, connecting your device with your computer and all that, which were often very frustrating. You could download music, any music you would like from Apple iTunes directly to your iPod, and that was a complete new user experience. Another very successful example is Hilti's tool fleet, and this is a company that used to produce heavy equipment, power tools. So they realized that they weren't able to sell a lot of tools. They had a very conventional model up to that point, and they realized that the only way to stay relevant was to change their business model into a model of rental and leasing solutions along with a maintenance program. So instead of selling a power tool, now they gave the opportunity to contractors, to people in construction, to workers, to engineers, to create a tool fleet. So all the tools that you would need for a specific project, and you didn't have to buy them. You could just rent them, use them, and then return them to the company. That gave access to the latest tools without the burden of ownership, without the burden of maintenance, because every time a tool was faulty, you just return it and you were getting another tool. Dell is another good example. They cut the middleman. They started selling directly to the customer first, to individuals and later to businesses. But they weren't selling a product that wasn't good enough. They were selling a very quality product, offering the opportunity to the customer to personalize a cost-effective PC that was available to them quite quickly. Dollar Shave Club, it's a subscription model, eliminated the need to buy razors. That's more appropriate mainly in the States. I don't know if that would be such a great model in Europe. As you proceed now and you have explained your business model and you have explained your business proposition and unique selling point, there is a point where you have to explain about your team and your management. And you have to show that your founders have a good track record of creating successful companies. But in addition to that, you need to remember that governance how you manage your company is also very important. That is why they ask you for a board of directors, consultants, of advisors, of a number of roles around the management and the employees of the company. The application explicitly also asks from you an employee stock ownership plan, which is an incentive for the team. And you need to explain all this. So how do you do that? First of all, you need to build a great team. And you need to remember that a great team must have a shared vision. They must be able to work together, ensuring that there are no confusions, no misinformation. They need to have complementary skills. So one must complement the other, and all of them, all of the team members must make a very strong team. You need to have a collaboration and communication culture, so you need to be able to communicate your problems openly, not hide them under the rug, talk them and discuss them and be able to solve them. And more important than everything else, you need to be resilient, able to overcome challenges, able to face problems, able to withstand difficulties. And as an inspiration, as some examples, I have here some of the greatest teams in the history of companies, from Ford, Walt Disney, Salesforce, and Netflix. But in addition to the team, as I already said, you should not forget that you need to have solid corporate governance. What is this? What is corporate governance? It is the way you run your company. What checks and balances have you created in order to make sure that there will be no problems? Through that corporate governance, you need to show that you have a commitment to accountability and ethical operations. You build trust with your stakeholders, investors, customers, employees. You prove that you have a clear framework for decision-making. There are clear structures there so that you can make decisions fast, but also reliably. You ensure compliance. So there are, again, the mechanisms that will allow you to follow and comply with any legal and regulatory requirements. And because of that, you minimize every risk. So everyone knows what to do. There are clear laws, there are clear responsibilities, clear procedures. And of course, you do that in a transparent way. This is why the board of directors and advisors is so important, because it will provide you with guidance, credibility, connections, and accountability. Guidance, because they are more experienced than you, they know, they have done it before, they can advise you. Credibility, because if you have them in the board, that means for another investor that somebody is there to guide you. So you must be doing something well. You are credible enough for them to invest. Connections, that goes without saying. The people that are invited to sit in the boards are invited because they have a huge network of connections. They know how to see the interconnections and create the strategic partnerships, help you create the strategic partnerships that you need. And of course, accountability. If they are there, that means they are there to hold you accountable. So you need to comply with the guidance of the board of directors. In addition to that, okay, you have a good board, you present them. Don't underestimate the importance of clearly presenting your team. And that means presenting your team in a unified way across all channels. Not saying something in the EIC application and something different in the pitch deck, and then when I click to the online profile of the COO or of the founder, see nothing. Or send a CV in Europaid and another CV in Europass and another CV in another format. No, you need to make sure that the way you present your team is universal, is unified. You are following the same approach. You need to give accurate details, highlight the experience, the education, and the specific skills you need in the application. Make it a little bit more visual in the pitch deck with photos, with the relevant achievements and the experience. In LinkedIn profile now, of course, you need to make sure that the LinkedIn profile of all your key members are complete. They showcase all their experiences in a detailed way. So somebody who would like to see more details can see them in the LinkedIn profile, at least those that are publicly announced. And of course, the CV can have even more details, although you shouldn't overdo it. 1-2 pages maximum should be enough, unless something else is required explicitly. But again, make sure that you highlight the same things that you highlight in others, and you use the same narrative and the same data. I would suggest to use the Europass CV. This is a standard for European Commission in this kind of projects. And there is an interesting mechanism here to create your own CV and maintain it and keep it updated. Now, probably the most difficult part is to create the employee stock ownership plan, the ESOP. The employee stock ownership plan is a benefit plan for your employees. So you give them some shares, you give them some equity, not right away, not from the beginning. Throughout the years that they work, based on the salary, based on other factors, on their performance or whatever. But the key here is that they don't have to pay for these shares. There should be an option. What is happening when and if they leave early, or if they retire, or if for any reason the company would like to buy their shares back. So there are some key benefits and there are some potential drawbacks. You need to know them in order to prepare that. The tax benefits and the financial risks and valuation risks are more appropriate to the states, but there are a lot, but they're not appropriate to the states. They may change depending on the country you're based. So every country has different tax benefits for such things, and different, of course, complexities in maintaining these schemes. In any case, you need the help of an experienced attorney and experienced lawyer to build something like that. And of course, nothing is written in stone. You can always change it later on and add more details and more information. But in any case, it is good, it is required to have something even as a starting point. Here there are some links which you can see on how to set up your own ESOP and some strategies and some examples. A few tips now in general. You need to humanize your brand. You need to create some empathy from the evaluators to you, and you need to tell a story that is a convincing story. some failed examples that started very well in creating this effect, but they somewhere in their way they failed. All of these companies used to be the leader in their market. Kodak, Compaq, Nokia, Boeing, they used to be the leader. But at some point, they lose their values. They failed to see what was happening in front of them. They lowered their quality. They insisting in old business models, and in the case of Boeing, they even ignored safety issues. So the takeaway here is that you need to tell a story that will humanize your brand, make it relatable to your audience. You need to share the mission, the vision, the values, how you align with the market needs, and be sure that you prove that you at least you say in any possible way that you will stick to these core values. And finally, you need to be able to keep your narrative, tell your story, give your message in a clear, a simple way, something that others can remember. You need to be authentic. Don't try to imitate something else. You need to find your own voice. And here are some very, very successful examples that have done that. Apple, Nike, Amazon, Google with Don't Be Evil, although now they have retracted that from their mandate. So, but when these messages came up, they were inspirational, they were motivating, they were empowering, they were easy to understand and to remember, and they differentiated these companies from their competition. Finally, no matter how good you believe you know your subjects and your material, you need to prepare. You need to be able to learn from others, especially from the mistakes of the others and from your own mistakes. You need to work not only in your subjects and in your topics and in your solutions, but also in the way you present them. And to do that, you must spend some time with that. You need to prepare. You need to test if the message is something that is relatable to others. You need to show that you have a good understanding and good presentational skills. And as a wrap up, there is we need to have solutions for the problems that we face as society, as businesses, and not the other way around. So there are enough problems, there are enough challenges out there. So don't try to find something for a problem that doesn't exist. Start with an identified problem that it's out there. Understand the market, build your selling proposition, create your brand, and tell a captivating story. The great team and corporate culture, now that I see it, I think that probably it should go earlier, because you need a team to do that, and maybe building the team should come as step 2 and not as a step 4. So the moment you realize that there is a problem, there is a challenge that is worth working on, worth solving, then I would advise you to build the team and start working on this problem. That's all from me. Thank you. I think we can open the floor for any questions.
Thank you very much, Odysseus. This became a very long day for all of us, for participants, speakers, and everyone, but it was very productive. We had many questions, actually. I tried to answer many of them online by writing, because they were about rules, procedures, they didn't much need any different views or opinions. And they thanked very much. They appreciated your presentation, Nicola's presentation. It was a very informative and efficient seminar. Thank you very much for all those who contribute to this seminar. So it was another and last comment. So thanks to everyone. Now I'd like to invite Merve Hanım for closing speech.
Thank you, Serkan Bey. I would like to thank all our experts, Odysseas, Nicholas, and Serkan Bey, for your productive and comprehensive presentations. I benefited from them a lot, and I think and I wish our participants, startups, would also benefit from your presentations. As I said before, the cutoff date is very soon. And if they have further questions, they can always contact with us via LinkedIn, via our email addresses. And we have also one project writing camp on next Monday, which they can find all the informations about the camp on our websites. And that's all. And thank you all for once again.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Have a nice
you.
evening then.
Take care.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye. Have a good day.